Okay, you guys actually did see how the sausage gets made. That was a false start. You guys got some free behind-the-scenes backstory of how Brian became an Oakland Athletics fan before Moneyball ruined everything. All right, now we're live on YouTube. All right. All right, guys. We are today, what the agenda is we are going to talk about this upcoming RBC Heritage PGA DFS. Last week was a bit of a bloodbath, so we got to get back on the right track there. We're going to recap our exploits in the League of Legends Online Championship, which also didn't go well for us. And we also have a few leads that we need to talk about. Brian and I have been receiving some messages. There's this mysterious RBX88 who's won 2 milli makers in the past few months, although he was just outed by DraftKings, and I believe Roto Grinders has an interview with him tomorrow as well. And also still the cash game bandit, the Cone 19, is still out in the streets riling people up. Maybe we'll talk a little bit about him. Brian, how has your week in DFS been?
Pretty good. I keep tying with 150 people in League of Legends. So.
Yeah. Now, is this even now that they bumped up? Because now we're back to some 4 gamers with LCK and LOL, right?
Yeah, no, last night was nice. What's his name, bro? Rosanosaurus Rex or whatever took a solo first for 50K, and I was 8th. But I had a solo lineup 8th live, so that's pretty good. Not much else you can ask for.
I'll make a confession. So I had taken my long hiatus. I hopped in the online championship, which we could talk about in a little bit. But then I noticed that I had that itch. And normally, I look at, I look at all the numbers. I run my crunches, all that good stuff and pick my lineups. But I didn't have time to do it last night. And I was laying in bed right before bed. And I was like, you know what? I'm just going to hand build one of these bad boys. I'm going to pull it up and fire it off. And I just realized, at the end of the day, Brian, I just love the game of League of Legends DFS, and you just can't keep me away from it, even if I don't have an optimizer in hand.
I don't blame you. I was kind of thinking the same thing, actually. Not hand building. I'm not insane. But like with NASCAR, MMA, there's not a ton of sports right now. Yeah. Soccer. I haven't played soccer in a while, but I've played it enough. And what else is going on? But anyways, and then on Twitter, people were talking about, I can't remember who it was, said it was petty theft. He said soccer was like the worst sweat. Yeah. It's not a good DFS sweat, not a good DFS game. And I kind of agree with him. But anyways, what it made me think of is how awesome a DFS game League of Legends actually is. I know it's kind of a joke to begin with, and there was nothing else you could play, so everyone played it. But it is pretty good. It is pretty good sweat. It's a pretty good watch if you're, if you want to go on YouTube and watch their live streams when they have them. Yeah. It's a cool game to model, and the Vegas odds are there. I don't know how much they mean.
I was going to say, I think I would like to take credit for popularizing this trend of any time a big favorite gets upset, that just all the conspiracy theorists just come out in full force. The fix is in. We got a Weehan situation on our hands. I love that we are, perpetuators of the conspiracy economy, which we know plays so well in today's day and age.
That's true. We weren't purposely doing that. It was pretty insane there for a couple of weeks, but I think we did get a bunch of people riled up, and Alex blames me now for whenever any team loses that I paid him off.
It is pretty incredible. If you think of our arc with League of Legends, we launched a show to talk about DFS. The first night was NBA getting canceled. We quickly pivoted to making this a full-on League of Legends show. Then they got rid of the spring split, so then we didn't have multiple games. Yeah. So then we were out for a little while. Then we both came storming back, bricked the online championships, and along the way, we helped eradicate toxicity in the league and foster a bunch of tinfoil hats about conspiracies. And now we're back just genuinely and earnestly talking about our love for the game. I mean, this is the hero's journey.
Well, it's pretty strange, but I think it might. I'm more optimistic that it might survive like the DFS comeback of all these other sports.
Yeah.
Because also like the LPL, it's a fun. I think it's the most fun of the leagues. It's got the most talent, and it's at 3 a.m. depending on where you live, so they can throw up 100K even on a baseball slate. Everyone's going to get paid out by then anyways. So like it could theoretically survive. In your Periscope, this Kyle Bake said DK doesn't think League of Legends is awesome. I'm assuming he's talking about because tonight's size went down to 80K for their big GPP, and it was like 150 yesterday, and it filled hours early. And I think the reason solely there is the PGA Millie Maker.
Yeah,
they want to fill it, and it's whatever. What's the tee time? I didn't even look, but I'm assuming it's like 7 a.m.
Yeah, it's I had it pulled up. It's 6:45 a.m. Eastern.
Okay. So yeah, so even earlier. So any money that gets spent on League of Legends can't get spent filling up all their golf tournaments. But like that's specifically for the Millie Maker because they filled a whole bunch of their tournaments.
Yeah, that's the thing and I know I saw people complaining about this today, and I agree. As someone who prefers to play all the 20 max and 3 max stuff, and all of this stuff fills, and then they're having to do all these giveaways just to try to fill the Millie Maker. They're making other contests smaller in different sports because they're trying to funnel there. I saw a discussion going on about how they should have bigger 20 max contests. Like right now, they only really do $1, $3, $4. Like have a $10 20 max, a $20 20 max. Like I think that would be so much more fun than just having it so polarized where it's a $1 150 max or the $20 150 max, and the big ones aren't filling.
Yeah, I agree. I don't know how they come up with their what the problem is the law. Like the law says that they have to announce how many players will be in it, and then that's it, and they have to stick to it.
Yeah.
Hopefully that's a stupid law. Maybe they could change that somehow, but I think it's federal. So, and good luck changing any of these gambling laws. I can't believe what we actually have has happened. But like if they didn't have it, then it would work. They could probably they have a ton more flexibility to start at a whole bunch of different levels, but with just a smaller guaranteed prize pool. And everything that goes over, like in poker, right? Like back in the poker days, you just add to the guaranteed prize pool. So like if you make it like 100K guaranteed prize pool, $10, 20 max, right? And then like they know they're going to fill that. And then a bunch of people like it and it gets up to 140, 155K, 160K, something like that. It's all gravy. So like I think it's really because they're playing the guessing game and because of that law.
Right. Yeah. Because otherwise it would be, like you said, it would be pretty easy to have dynamic resizing for contests and just let them get as big as they need to based on the interest. I mean, at this point, like maybe I'm naive about this, but the whole, we all complain about the payout structures when, they have this week it's 1 million to first and then second's 100,000 and then it just falls off a cliff. You can finish 10th out of 133,000 people and only get $5,000. I mean, is the $1 million still that big of a marketing tool? I mean, they haven't even filled it yet. So like, I guess I just don't get why they insist on these top heavy payout structures still.
They probably have a pretty good analytics team for that, right?
Yeah.
They pay them more than they do for like their salary generating guys, their salary generators, right? Because that doesn't really matter as much. So I'm assuming they know what they're doing, and hey, if that what brings people in, then so be it. But yeah, I mean, it would be nice to have the variety, and if the sport picks up, just in general, because DFS has kind of had a rough go of it the past couple of years, really, ever since Ethan Gate, really.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I mean, maybe eventually that'll happen. And like I said, if somehow they could change that law, which makes no sense.
Yeah.
Maybe if poker gets legalized, be a package deal. I mean, but with politics, it's good luck.
Let's check in on the chat here, and then we will talk about two of the more infamous figures in DFS right now, RBX88 and Vacone19. Over on YouTube, we got Eli Reasons. Hey, fellas, thanks for the advice on bumping up my Kefka exposure last week. Was able to grind out a solid negative 60% ROI. No problem, Eli. Anytime. We got Eric Johnson. Is this where the cool kids are at? Of course, it's where we're all out. You guys are forgetting about the highly anticipated season opener for Japanese baseball. We did forget that. They're rolling that out for DFS as well, right?
I'm looking at it right now. I didn't even know that was a thing. I'm not doing that one either. 4 a.m. Come on.
Yeah. Yep. And we got our guys over in Periscope. They are hot on the trails of who is Vacone19. It was so funny because it was like a few weeks ago, Alex had just had a tweet or something about his girl playing DFS or something. And I just jokingly responded, is her username Vacone19? Tell her to stop sending stuff. It got like 150 likes and it wasn't that good of a tweet. But what I realized was everyone has experienced this phenomenon of getting unsolicited head-to-heads from Vacone19. I'm sure you count yourself among those.
I asked DraftKings a couple years ago to block all requests to me because I would get a lot, and I don't know why, like friend requests and stuff like that. I don't even know how those work on DraftKings. So I haven't gotten one in a while, but I did back in the day get a bunch from Vacone19.
Yeah, and I have tried to do some digging. I even had some people slide into my DMs with some leads. Apparently, there are some other profiles with his exact username elsewhere, but no one has come forward. So I guess I'll just put it out right now. I mean, Brian, I'll give someone a bounty of 5 Millimaker tickets for actual promising Vacone19 leads. You know how like when the police have a missing person and they have to, I mean, that's what we need here. I need concrete leads so I can do a true unmasking of who this figure is.
Okay. All right. I'll split that with you if you want.
There we go. That's it. The Lolz bounty for Vacone19, because we will not stop. I mean, the real question, Brian, is this. Do you think he is a long-term profitable DFS player?
There's that question. And then what is his strategy here? Because he could just go and enter $40,000 worth of head-to-heads and, double ups, triple ups.
And because a thing that's notorious, right, in DFS and also used to be in poker and stuff is bum hunting, right? That there could be the logic he's looking for, people without badges or whatever the experience stuff and trying to get them to accept it. But if he's sending them to everyone, then he's not bum hunting, right?
And is that like a script, or does he like see someone and just keeps adding people as friends or something? I've never requested anything except with you once with that ad for a joke. But
yeah, Brian's only head-to-head career was he wouldn't accept my head-to-head. It was pretty tough scene for him. He said you didn't have enough money in your account for it, but it's fine. It's fine. It has to be a script because just the manual effort to do that, how could that juice be worth the squeeze?
I don't know. But like you said, if it's like maybe in his head, it's like some sort of reverse bum hunting.
Yeah.
That like the people who have no idea what they're doing just like say, okay. Like, because people are I think I'm right, but like my guess is that a lot of people who are new to DFS or like, recreational players, they are scared of head-to-heads.
Yeah.
And why wouldn't they be? Like, they don't know who these people are.
I'm scared of head-to-heads. I don't want to spend all day trying to work on the optimal cash game lineup. When you make tournament lineups, you can justify anything. You can justify not checking it 12 hours before. Hey, it's contrarian because it's less optimal.
Right. Yeah, that's true. That's true. Yeah. I mean, I've heard cash game guys justify their shit too, but quite like with some interesting, well, maybe because I have the optimal and you don't. And like that type of shit.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay. All right. Well, I mean, but like Vacone obviously is putting in the work.
Yeah.
to get all these invites. So why doesn't, put the work into getting a great optimal cash game lineup and then just playing like everyone else does? I don't get it.
Here is one of our best leads we've gotten so far. Tree Bands. I met some guy working at Walmart Supercenter claiming to be Vacone 19. Looks like he was rolling back his head-to-head invites.
Was it one of the Waltons?
he was at the front of the store giving out those little yellow smiley stickers as you came in, and he said, "Please accept my head-to-heads." Let's talk about the other. He was pretty mysterious up until today. I'm actually going to go to share screen here so I can pull this up. But RBX88, as I pull this up, Brian, were you familiar with this username even before this Sunday?
No.
Okay. Wow. That's how.
I don't think he mass enters. I could be wrong about that though.
So this was the tweet that I had seen a couple days ago from Brian Jester. He goes, "Does anyone know anything about this? Look at this run they're on. December 15th, they won the NFL Millie. 2 weeks later, they get second in it. January 11th, another second. June 6th, MMA, top 6. And then on Sunday, first place in the Millie. Created a Roto Grinders profile on December 16th. I mean, for people, Brian, who aren't used to MMEing a lot of stuff, like put into context for us how absurd that run is.
It's insane. Like I don't know how. The best thing I can say is like me and Alex have played. Like Alex Baker have played every Millie maker in every sport for 5 years at least, maybe longer, and neither of us have won. I think my highest was like 9th. A couple times. I think I top 10 like twice.
Yep. Someone, Eric Johnson just says he's got 150 in the Millie this week. So he's definitely, it seems like he's new-ish to DFS. Because it's just like, if you're playing 150 in the Millie, like at the volume that, you and Awesome are, like people would recognize that username. You just see the usernames over time. It does seem like he's very new to this.
It's completely possible that I missed it. I wonder if somebody else, if I was wrong and everyone knows who he is, then, whatever, that's on me. I can go into the Roto Grinders, what's it called? Their data tracking thing and see if he ended 150 that week. Yeah.
Results DB, results Stanbach. So I know Roto Grinders is going to have an interview with this guy. DraftKings did a little interview. I believe I linked to it down here. I don't know if I can play the audio. The interview is actually incredibly underwhelming. She asks him, basically, where do you get your ideas from? And he was just like, he goes, I kind of just go by feel. And some weeks I play less chalk than other weeks, but it depends on the slate. So that was the illuminating interview from Gianni Demers. Someone in my mentions said that they looked him up and he was a big time live poker player as well. So he definitely has a little bit of a game theory background, it would appear.
Okay, he did enter 150 last week. I just looked.
Okay. Can you see, was he playing anything else other than the Millie?
I'll look, but the guy who took second also took third. Oh, he probably had the same lineup.
Duped it?
He probably duped it. Man, these guys, how do I ever lose, Peter?
How do we ever live? He's been watching Osmo videos where Osmo says he's a big running a train guy. I mean, even in PGA where you really have to mess up to have a duplicated lineup. We got Eli in the chat on YouTube. In his interview, he gives the most vague responses possible. Very suspicious stuff. Seems like an industry plant along the lines of Billie Eilish or L. Ron Hubbard. Yes, I mean, look at this figure right here. I mean, he looks like he was engineered out of like a Brooklyn central casting factory farm. I'm inclined to believe he's a robot. I don't believe it.
Maybe. How many androids can there be in DFS? Is this like a big problem?
Wait, what if Osimo cloned himself in another disguise?
Gave himself hair?
Yeah.
This time?
Do you think it's killing him that Osmo can't take credit for these victories and he's only reaping the financial rewards because, behind the scenes, he knows the truth?
I don't know. You're just making me depressed that I've never won a Millie Maker. So.
Yeah, this is, you know what, Brian? I mean, you run so bad. You've never won a Millie Maker and you only have 990 subscribers on YouTube. I mean, I can't make the Millie Maker thing happen, but I can make 1,000 subscribers. So here's the deal. You guys, if you want any of the hot picks for the RBC Heritage this week, we need to get Brian to 1,000 subscribers on YouTube. I want you to head over there, and I want you to smash the subscribe button. Smash it, okay? And then all things will be coming up Brick 75 once you get that 1,000 YouTube subscribers.
Okay, so I just checked. He didn't enter the 2,200 or the 555.
Okay.
Just the 150 in the Millie Maker. He might have entered, whatever, other tournaments, but none of the big ones.
Okay. There you have it, guys. Gianni Demers, I don't believe he has a Twitter presence. I'm trying to smoke him out with these subtweets making fun of his looks. So, Gianni, if you want to come on Lolz and prove to us that you are human, we will have you on. That's our promise to you. So, Brian, let's I actually real quick before we fully get into golf, do you have any thoughts? I was going to pull up this was my whiff in the League of Legends online championship. I took a stab, a single bullet that was stolen away from me by petty theft. Did you enjoy your time in the online championship, or are you glad to see it go?
I'm not glad that I got my ass kicked. I screwed up, and I golfed that day, and I needed an extra hour because I screwed something up, and I just rolled with what I had, and that turned out to be a big mistake. Because as you said, you could justify any entry, any 150 entry if you think about it long enough.
It's true. Yeah, I went with what I thought was an interesting lineup. I definitely didn't want to be duplicated. I played a traditional 4-3 that featured two favorites. I had two ADCs in there. My big issue was Rogue just was too efficient with their win, didn't score enough points. I got kind of what I needed there from FNC down there on the bottom, but that foursome from Rogue. But I don't know. I don't really have many regrets about this lineup. I gave myself a really good chance, I think, to win if Rogue Warrior scores better. And a lot of those chalk lineups that had, who was it, G1 or whatever, at the top, yeah, there were a lot of those that were duped.
Did you dupe?
No, I had no dupes.
You had no dupes. Nice. And go back to Petty Theft's lineup.
Yeah.
I think he had just like a pretty standard lineup, didn't he?
Yeah.
Right? He had a 1-2, 4 stack for G2. And a 4-2 with one off being team position.
Yep. Yeah.
So, that's just solid lineup.
Were you heavy on G2 or were you fading that chalk?
No, I think I was around 40% for most of them.
Yeah.
Whoever my non-chalky team was, I think got crushed.
Yeah. Yep. It was fun though. It was good to get back. I don't know about you. So I actually, I went golfing with a friend of the show, Bobby Gomes. We had him on our, MMA live stream, and that there was some kind of delay, I think, with the Rogue Warriors match where there was an internet thing. So I'm walking down the fairway, trying to pull up to look at the score in the stream to see what's going on. And then they hadn't started. I'm just what am I doing? I'm out golfing. It's 80 degrees out, this beautiful day. And I'm on my phone. I can't even see because the brightness is too much. And then you know how they have the scores up in the very top. So I'm looking super close to figure out the scores. And then I realize I'm oh, this game ended with them getting 9 total kills. I mean, what a just a shot to the heart.
Yeah, especially when you play LPL a lot.
Yeah.
And you're used to a bad team losing and still getting 16 kills.
Yeah.
You know?
I know.
Yeah, it was pretty brutal.
It was brutal.
Do it over again.
Yeah. We'll get back in the mix. I got to circle back. I have to read one of the most savage comments we've gotten. Brick sub count chart probably looks like the stock market back in March, which also coincides with the time this podcast started and his informational videos ended. That is what we call tough but fair.
That's true. Tough but fair. That's exactly what happened.
This is the biggest Trojan horse ever. All the YouTube people turn into this show to just try to get just the littlest nugget from Brick 75 to make them a DFS player, and then they have to deal with me.
Well, we're going to do something today. How about?
We are, and let's transition. Let's talk some golf. Did you have any takeaways from last week from a GPP perspective?
No, nothing special really. There was, I mean, it's golf. It's golf. There's nothing really that stood out to me. I've watched so many of these and played so much that guys that Spieth losing at the end. Whatever. That's no big deal. Morikawa's a stud. He's part of that group of young studs. Hovland. I had a lot of Hovland. I had a decent amount of Morikawa too. I was making a run 555 until Sunday personally, but I don't know. I thought it was just kind of your standard golf week. Here's one thing that was different is the cut line. And maybe you could share this link, although I'm sure everyone has it, the cut sweats.
Yeah. What do you want me to pull up?
Just cut. Let's see what it is. Cut sweats, .com/PGA.
Yeah. Here, I'll share this back and you can walk me through what to go to.
Yeah, that's fine right there. So this tells you this is Nelson's site too, right?
Yes.
This went up, I guess, the cut line there. Because when I last looked, it was 4% cut line.
It literally says it was updated 2 minutes ago, I think.
Oh, I wonder if that's like incorrect data then.
Huh.
Because it was it looks right. Yeah, because Rahm not making it and Webb Simpson didn't make it. He's not even on there because he didn't make it by like 2 or 3 strokes. So he was on this one. But if you go up to the top one, I swear it was at the 4% range, but now it's looking like at the 8 or 9% range. That's not that bad, 8 or 9%. I would say like average is probably 10 or so, and it can get pretty crazy. It can get pretty high. It can get in the 20s or 30s sometimes, and that's 6 out of 6 of your golfers making it through the cut on DraftKings.
Yeah,
and when it was in the 4% range, though, that's pretty low.
Yeah.
And so I thought we could go over some math to kind of talk about that. Do you want to do that, or you want to like talk about?
Yeah, no, let's do this. I think that's good, and then we can transition to maybe building a lineup for RBC Heritage, and we can look at what exposures we have right now. But I think this is interesting. You want me to add your Excel to the stream?
Yeah, share that one I just shared with you. Let me see if you got it up there. Yeah, that's right. Okay, so I put here. I could just say this is just I made this up. This is their expected cut percentage. Okay.
Yeah.
So the average this week is about like 48% chance to make the cut, and since the cut line has changed to 65, like we talked about last week, it's obviously a little bit harder to make the cut. So, and it's tough to get like an actual dead on range of an average because ties make it through. So it's not like 65 for sure will make the cut. So you can, sum your probabilities and make them all dead on accurate because you don't know exactly how many are going to make it through the cut. But if you, if you took like an average team that all had 50, a slightly above average team, all had 50% chance of making a cut down the line, this is the odds of the whole team making a 6 out of 6, which is just the product of the probabilities. So to figure out any odds, any probabilities of like 2 events occurring, you just multiply them together. So 50 times 50 times 50 times 50 times 50 is 1.6% chance. So if you have like a slightly above golfers across the board, you only have a 1.6% chance of making it, right? So with 4% of the lineups making it through, like that's not even that insane because it's kind of hard to get that many, to get all your golfers in. But usually you're going to have a better than 50% chance. You're going to have, probably closer to 60 on, as your average amongst all your golfers. And you can see the difference here is it's, over double, almost triple the probability when you have, just add that slight percentage. But here's something interesting. If you add a stud, so like a stud for like Rory this week's like 81% chance to make the cut, 82, something like that. But most of the studs are around like 75 to 80. And a dud or whatever at 25% chance, and that's pretty low. That's kind of a garbage golfer that you're probably not going to have in your lineup anyways, but you might. You can see that even though the sum of the probabilities is the same as the average team, your chance of making the cut is less, right? So that's pretty interesting. And then if you go even more stud and dud here, you see that so like 3 stud golfers, 2 dud golfers, you see your probability cuts even in half, more than half from just the average lineup.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, it's kind of, I guess, intuitive thinking that a bunch of average guys or a bunch of solid guys is going to give you a good shot at getting 6 guys through. And I say good shot, it's still only about 5% chance.
Yeah. So how do you think about this and again, because I'm not as well versed in this stuff for fully understanding, but would you rather have 6 guys squeak in to the cut or have 4 of them solid in there at the top with a really good chance to win, or let's say even 5, but 1 not make the cut? Like how valuable is that 6 of 6 versus realistic upside to win the tournament?
Yeah, I would say not much. Like, so this is valuable in cash games. And it's probably valuable in your long-term ROI in tournaments as well. Like, if you're getting 3 points over your opponent, which you're not going to, because they're not going to make this lesser lineup usually. But if you can get 3 points, and entering the Cone 19 levels of cash games, over time, that 3 points is going to add up for a ton of fucking money. But like GPPs are more about, and this has nothing to do with salaries too, by the way. But GPPs has nothing to do with this. Also has nothing to do with ownership.
Yeah. Do you look at
sign up a ton of ownership with it?
Yeah.
I'd rather take this one, even though you would never do that in a cash game.
Yeah. Do you have like, so for you, when you max enter the Millie, do you look back at your rates for how many of your lineups made 6 of 6 and what are you generally about, would you say?
No, I don't do, and I make my own cut line percentages, and through my process of, building models and doing everything that I do, I use that information, but I don't do it this way. I'm not doing this for a cash game though. I could theoretically, I could see it, but the way I do it, I don't think I need it, but I could see someone doing that.
And I think the question someone would have is if you're using someone else's projections, and if they're good projections, your hope is that the cut line percentage is going to be baked into that projection, like their odds of making the cut.
Could you say that one more time? I didn't quite.
So I'm just thinking. So if someone's watching this or wondering, like, how is this actionable to me?
Yeah.
If you're using good projections, are the projections going to have this likelihood of making the cut baked into that projection?
They should.
Right.
I mean, I think you could still do something with this, including with that projection, having it baked in. But of course, like if someone's got 100% chance of making the cut, their average, their mean, is going to go up,
right?
Because they're getting way more shots over time at banking a golf tournament.
Yeah.
But here's another thing to take away is, unfortunately, this cut sweats data either updated and I didn't see it, went up to 8%, or he's just working on it or something, and that information is not right. But it was at 4% late Friday. Mm-hmm. Like, you don't have to feel that bad that your 6-6 didn't go through. Like, even if you take this team, it's only got a 5% chance. And when you mess with the probabilities at an individual level, kind of tweaking and getting your stud in to like, but if you have to drop on the back end, you might be lowering your chances.
Right.
And this could, if you're hand building one team, it could certainly help. And this is in lieu of projections. Like, this is just like, okay, I'm looking at these 6 guys. Like, let's say you're handicapping it yourself.
Yeah.
You could go through it hand by hand and be like, okay, Alex has this guy at 41% and this guy at 63%, right? And you could just start typing in what the golfers have and, and then mix and match let's say this guy got Rory on there, right? Mm-hmm. Like, that's kind of interesting. Rory pops onto this team and it's still not as good as this kind of middle of the road team.
Yeah. And you could do something similar for, say, MMA too, where you multiply like the knockout percentages or the win percentages to try to see, what are the odds all of my guys get a knockout or all get a finish or whatever, just to illustrate that none of these are going to be sure things. And a lot of those are going to be, sub 5% once you multiply them all together.
Probably the simplest one would be inside distance.
Yeah.
So MMA inside distance odds, you could definitely do something like this. You'd probably have to be a little more creative. A slight problem with that, although I'd still do it and it'd be fun looking at it, is the markets are a lot smaller on those.
Yeah.
Right. So they're not going to be as efficient as, these golf ones, especially if you look at the right sites, like they're getting hit pretty hard. There's pros working these lines.
Yeah. So question for you, would you say in PGA that the ownership gravitates toward the safer options, the options with the best chance to make the cut versus just pure upside?
Are we talking? So we're talking tournaments.
Yes.
Yeah. No, I mean, I'm not sure. I don't really use upside in my process.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So, I mean, can you do it in yours? Here's how I would do upside. And I was going to say this on our MMA stream, and we were all drinking and stuff, and I think I forgot. It depends how you do it. You could do it with standard deviation is a pretty good way to do it. But you can come up with whoever your guys are in any sport, doesn't matter, who you think are high, quote unquote, high upside guys, but you don't want to bump up their projection. And in an optimizer, and it should work this way in any of them, all you have to do is make his randomness higher, his or her randomness higher, and they will pop. Let's say you run 200 laps, they'll pop more.
Yeah.
Like this is what I was saying about how randomness doesn't matter. I mean, randomness doesn't matter from like a game theory perspective. Like it's not doing anything for you. People think it is. That's what I was getting at on the MMA stream. Is like it doesn't do anything for you game theory wise. But it does
bullying the optimizer to do what you want it to do, right?
What's that?
It's like bullying the optimizer to do what you want. If you don't have as much Ian Poulter in it, and you want to crank up that randomness, that's how you're going to get more Ian Poulter in your lineups.
Yeah. But I like doing it for high upside guys.
Yeah. Because
it's kind of just picking them a little bit more because it's given that wider distribution of point projections,
yeah,
which is what you think that guy does. Other than that, though, I don't. In MMA, like I said this a few times now. I really think MMA is really like a paper rock scissors game theory thing.
Mm.
Like this fighter loses, so you got to pick this fighter. The people are taking him, so I got to take him.
Yeah,
and you just hope you don't have one of those fights. I can't remember the fighter's name, like last week, where he gets like 55 points
in a win. Here is Pete's trying his hardest to try and meet his weekly Ian Poulter name drop quota. Wait till you see my exposures, buddy. We're going back to the Poulter well. Here's a question from YouTube. I think it's BLZ. For PGA in these bigger fields and softer pricing, how do you handle setting a salary limit like 49, 8, or 50K with an ownership cap like 60 or 80% team ownership? And I'll just also kind of reframe this question because it's something I've seen my buddy Matt Jones over at Rotoviz start to discuss a little bit more. I mean, there's so many golfers and there's so many ways to build unique lineups that it really just seems like you should never be eating too much chalk in PGA because we're just not that good at actually projecting this. And there's so many options. So there's all that rolled into one. What are your thoughts?
Yeah. Like, I think when people say that we're not good at projecting a sport is like, I get what they're saying, but I don't think that's necessarily true. I kind of think that most sports are about the same projection ability. It's just that there's more variance inherent in the sport. So like, it doesn't mean that you can't project it for a profit over your opponents, right? You know what I'm saying? Like, that's just kind of like a side point. What was the other part of that?
So, sorry, going back to BLZ's question, he was wondering, I think he's about trying to get unique either via leaving salary on the table or capping a max amount of ownership in a lineup.
Yeah. Okay. So with the cap, I probably wouldn't cap. If you did cap at 49, 49.8 or 49.7, I think that's fine. But like what I would do is if I was just like using an optimizer and that's it, is I wouldn't cap. And then I would sort by salary and ownership and then just click off those top 50K lineups. Like they're probably going to be duped.
Yeah.
And it depends on, and it's also, we don't know what projections they're using and stuff like that. So you might not be duping as much as you think. And he says 60% or 80% team ownership cap. I'm assuming he's just making like kind of arbitrary numbers because I'm not even getting 80% total for my optimal.
Yeah.
Of ownership the last 2 weeks.
I think the one I saw was like 87. So was one I had seen, and then like 77 was the second optimal.
Okay. And so, well, look, what we built that Millie Maker lineup last week. We're going to do another one this week.
Yeah.
We did 40% max ownership, right?
Yeah.
I don't think that's insane. 45, 50.
Yeah, I'm down. The ones I was running, I think mine for my optimal stuff was around 60%. But I didn't have a huge spread, like even down. I had like a 20% spread across 150 lineups, and my lowest one was like 54% ownership. So I was pretty like tightly packed in there.
So, and another thing at BLZ here, like we've been playing a lot of sports, MMA, League of Legends, NASCAR, that are super dupey.
Yeah.
There's tons of dupes in those sports. So I think people are kind of a little gun shy right now. That's not going to happen as much in PGA. But that doesn't mean ownership doesn't matter. So you still want to mess with ownership in some way.
Mm-hmm.
Some way that works for you, because you're going to be competing against less lineups. And this is the game theory behind winning GPPs. If you could just go find the best ownership projections and print money every week, everyone would do it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And this week the ownerships don't seem very high. Usually in golf there's somebody around 30% owned, and sometimes in the lesser the tournaments where there isn't a ton of popular golfers, you can get like 40 or even 50. I've seen for the highest owned. So it's pretty spread out.
I think it generally would have been, at least this year, it would be Rory, but he burned so many people on Sunday that it's keeping his ownership down.
Yeah, well, he was low last week. He was 16.7%.
That's true.
That's pretty surprising for me. I had him like 5 clicks higher than that. So he was pretty low. Webb was even a little bit lower than I think everyone thought. He got like 25%.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people, like the duping since NASCAR, MMA and LOL have been the game everyone's been playing the last 3 months. I think people are way more aware of dupes now.
Yeah.
And maybe that's kind of what's lowered it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not too hard, especially like I've just been playing a lot of the 20 max stuff, and I mean hardly any of my lineups were duped at all. Like just going through, like you said, and lopping off some of the higher percentage ones and that were 50K salary. It's really hard to have a lot of dupes in golf, I think, unless you're just really jamming chalk.
Yeah. It's kind of surprising, honestly. It feels like there should be some dupes, but
yeah.
Golf's a good DFS game. Golf's a pretty good DFS game.
All right, let's make a lineup. Brian and I have established a new thing where each week we will build a Lolz lineup that we will each share 50% equity in. Last week we ping-ponged back and forth the picks. This week I thought we could build it together more collaboratively from the top down, just to get the type of build we want. And I don't know, do we want to set an arbitrary ownership threshold, or should that just use that like a guiding light?
I would like to keep it under something.
Yeah. Where is that line for you right now? I think, is it in like the mid 50s for you? Like under that, or do you want to get more aggressive?
Probably around 50.
I was just gonna say I do have to reframe because I haven't been playing the Millie. I mean, we can pull up the contest here. All the money's at the top, so I think I need to probably get in a mindset that's a little more unique, aggressive.
Okay.
Do you want to try like 45 or something?
Yeah, let's try. Yeah, let's try like 45 and just be flexible with it.
Yeah. Okay. Maybe as just a starting point, we could talk about, I'll tell you some of my top golfers, and I have no problem giving my exposures. Right now, I have Patrick Reed as my highest. My second one is my weekly curveball. Last week, it was Poulter. This week, my second highest owned guy, as of right now, I have the right to change this, is Jason Kokrak at 24%. Then I have Rory, then Xander, and then Gary Woodland. That's my top 5 right now.
Okay. Well, let me check and see. I mean, I'm gonna redo mine, but I did do some for the show.
Yeah.
And I was also liking Patrick Reed and Webb, Simpson, John Rahm.
Yeah.
Kuchar.
Okay. Yep. I have John Rahm in my top 8. And also for Eli reasons in the chat, Ian Poulter, my 7th highest owned guy at 21%. You got any love for Poulter again this week?
18 in this run.
Okay, there we go. Welcome to the good side.
Some of the cheaper, if you want to call them cheaper, JT Poston and Joel Damon.
Yeah,
I have a decent amount on them. And Rory Sabatini.
Me too.
I feel like he's gonna screw me,
dude. He's in my top 10. I got 20% of him.
He could strike it. He can get hot. He's probably not going to win it for you, but he could be in a lineup. There's just a lot of stud, like 3 years ago studs who are priced really cheap. Jason Day, Sergio Garcia, Snedeker is pretty cheap. These other guys in the 8,000s, Koepka, Dustin Johnson, Gary Woodland, Ricky Fowler.
Yeah.
These guys have all been over 10,000.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. I think it was it Nolan over at Osmo that did a tweet just showing like all the studs you could jam in. And whereas if that, tournament was a year ago, the salary would have been at like 60,000 to get those golfers in there.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's crazy. And I think it's the young guys who've replaced them. So you got Morikawa, Daniel Berger had an injury, I think, like a year and a half ago or something. Yeah, I'm pretty sure. And so it looks like he's finally he won last week. It looks like he's finally healthy.
Yeah.
He's not super young like these other guys, but the other young guys, Victor Hovland, I mentioned him last week. Him and Morikawa are studs. And then some of the Asian players, Byung-Hung An and Sung Jae Im.
Yeah.
I mean, anyone who watches golf, these names aren't going to be surprising to them. But there's a lot of good young golfers. Luke List is playing this week. He's a bomber.
Speaking of bombers, where are you at on Beefy DeChambeau? I have very little of him this week.
I have 14% right now.
Okay, that's more than me.
So, okay, here's some matchup odds news.
Okay.
Some of the odds that are flipped from head-to-head matches to what you'll see on just whatever Bovada or whatever generic winner odds.
Yeah.
Right. First place odds or even top, T5, T10, whatever. So what I've noticed who's flipped is Corey Connors over Bubba Watson. Corey Connors is favored there, and I think in most winners he's not. Matt Fitzpatrick over Kisner is another one where Kisner's kind of favored in odds on some of these.
Just so people, if they're not familiar, Brian, when they hear you say this, is the implication that the smart money is coming in on someone and that's moving their odds and would therefore maybe for you move their projection?
I think all odds are moved by smart money, but the implication here is that the head-to-head odds are two-way lines. So they're sharper. And so when you have just a one-way line, so you can only bet the winner. So like, let's say, for example, just to explain this, some people probably don't know this stuff. If you have Rory McIlroy plus 200 to win the tournament, whatever, plus 900 to win the tournament, there's no minus 900 to not win the tournament coming back. So the book doesn't have to take action on the other side, which I think is actually illegal in a few states or like a few countries that you have to do two-way lines. So they could bake in a ton of juice into these winner handles, and they don't have to take action on the other side. It doesn't mean there's no value. There still is tons of value there, and there's people hitting them and then sharpening them up along the way. Yeah. So it still has value, but if it doesn't have the other side coming back, it's not as much. So when you look at the head-to-head odds, it can give you some indication on where those ones, like the small minutia there, that of like, okay, this guy should be higher than this guy should be higher than this guy, could kind of utilize that. Well,
and also to kind of hammer home that point, it's like if you win for a while there, you'd see Tiger Woods' odds would always be juiced up, kind of disproportionate relative to his maybe inherent value or projection, just because he was the popular guy that everyone wanted to bet as an outright. But your point is saying if that was a two-way line and you were able to short Tiger Woods, that price would become much more efficient because there'd be money coming in to balance that out that didn't agree with the inflated price.
Yeah, for sure. And think about it from a bookmaker's perspective. Like if you have to make 150 bets, like that's hard, and you have to control it and manage it and make sure that you're not getting screwed. Now, the other way, now you're looking at 300 bets, right? And this is why like smaller markets are easier to beat in sports betting, like college sports. Because there's so many games. The bookmaker can't make all the lines perfect.
Yeah.
So it just doubles the amount of lines he's got to track. And yeah, for sure, they're gonna be way sharper on a two-way line.
Okay, sorry, we went on that tangent. So then back to these lines you're looking at, who now is more interesting to you than they were maybe a few hours ago based on this movement?
So Billy Horschel. Yeah, I'll just name some without going down the whole list. Dustin Johnson. So they got Dustin Johnson 40 cents, about 40 cents favored over Koepka.
Okay.
What was another one that stuck out here? Billy Horschel. I just said Billy.
Yeah,
Horschel.
you said Horschel. Yep.
Abraham Answer's kind of getting up there. This head-to-head has Morikawa slightly favored over Xander, which should probably surprise a few people.
Yeah.
This wasn't one I was thinking, but you'll love it either way. They got Ian Poulter, big heavy favorite over Sergio.
That's right, Sergio. You got nothing.
Kuchar slight favorite over Berger.
Okay.
And there was so this is why I'm getting more John Rahm. John Rahm favored over Xander by 51 cents and Bryson by 25.
Okay. All right.
So I would look to stick Rahm in there as our first pick.
I like it. What ownership do you have Rahm at right now?
Let me look. 15.
Okay. Yep.
So I think it's a pretty penny of our.
Yeah, that's going to force us down some interesting ones. How about, it did seem like we were both higher than market on Sabatini. What do you think about him as a guy to get us some lower ownership and some salary relief?
Yeah, let me check his ownership really quick. 7%. I have him kind of high.
Okay.
He's the highest down there. I mean, I like him. Do you want to just stick him in and we'll figure it out later?
Yeah, we could swap him out if the ownership becomes an issue.
Okay. So who'd you have on your list of
so my top
exposures?
I'll list my top 10 again here. Reed, Kokrak, Rory, Xander, Woodland, Dustin Johnson, Poulter, Rahm, Sabatini, and then Oosthuizen.
I feel like we have to go back to the Poulter well.
God, I love it. That's music to my ear.
Let's check his ownership really quick.
I had it at like 8 or 9, I think.
Shit, I got it at like 10.
Okay. Maybe too much.
Well, we might go over 45. Let's just
we can see.
We'll see. We can just take a guy who's like low to make the cut, just even though I just did that whole spreadsheet thing. Fuck it.
Are there any other guys that you who are some of your top guys? Is there anyone else in, say, that like 8 or 9K range?
Poston, Damon. You're talking salary? I thought you said like 9% range.
Oh, sorry, I was meaning like in that 8 to 9K. Since
the 8K guys, I have a ton of them I like. I don't know how we'll be able to figure. I like Kokrak too.
Okay. All right.
Let's do it. He's 9%, like 8-9% projected.
Was in the winning Millie Maker lineup last week. Had a really nice showing. This gives us a lot to work with. We have 8,400. So you said there were lots of guys in the 8s, and so we could definitely play the ownership game there to get a couple of them that are sub 5%.
They're all like 10%.
So what are we at right now total?
From your projections of low owned around there? Anyone except like Answer, even though they're all like in the 10 to 15% range.
Hang on, let me sort some.
Billy Ho.
Yeah, so like down in the sub 10, like Fowler, Answer, Fitzpatrick, Horschel. You mentioned Horschel. He's 7,700.
Yeah, let's throw Billy Ho in there, and then we're gonna have like a 9K guy left.
Yeah, that leaves us with 9,100. What's our total ownership at right now?
We're gonna be way over it, but Webb does fit in there nicely. Let's see. Let's add this up.
Guys, let's chat. What do you think of this lineup so far? Probably
this looks like a stud lineup to me.
Yeah. I didn't even I should have checked. I should have checked if we were duped last week. If anyone else from Lolz put our lineup in, I forgot to check.
I didn't look.
I'm gonna.
You're like 47% so far.
47. So we're gonna. If we went Webb, we would blow by it.
We would blow by it.
But honest question:
Yeah.
If we did go Webb, so that would put us roughly 67%, I think. Do you think this lineup would be duped? Because really that's all it comes down to, right?
I would say in the Millie Maker, let me see. I can actually
to me, 4 guys under 8K, that has to be pretty unique, right? Or maybe not. To me, it just seems like most people wouldn't want to go dumpster diving for that many guys.
Right. Yeah, I mean, it's probably like 1.5 projected dupes or something, maybe 1.75.
Yeah. Just based on the projected ownership.
Yeah, just based on the projected ownership. Let me see if. Okay, I have something here that I can. Okay. Well, it depends on who we pick next. So you want to pick Webb and then add it up from there?
Yeah. Or so what do you have anyone else that we did talk about liking Reed, and you get an ownership discount on Reed by about probably 5 percentage points of ownership going from Webb to Reed. I don't know if you have a lean there.
Let's take a look here. I think I like Webb.
Yeah.
And yeah, and he's favored by 26 cents over Reed.
Okay. All right. So go Webb here. Get him in.
What's his projected ownership? Oh, he's like 20% owned though, right?
Right. That's what I was saying. Like, I think I had Reed more in like the 15% range, and Webb, it looks like, is going to be the highest owned. But if we're leaving $100 on the table and we have 4 guys under 8K and we don't think this is going to be duped, then there's no problem.
Okay. Yeah. Here, I'm going to do a little math here, and I'll tell you exactly what I think about the chances of getting duped.
Okay.
In a Millie Maker.
All right, we got Eli in the chat saying not enough Brooks. In my unbiased opinion, I know we last week we were pushing Brooks.
How much money does Eli want to lose? It doesn't. Seems like someone should take the mouse out of his hand or phone, however he makes his lineups.
I know we're turning a new leaf here, guys. We're in. This is the era of Revert C Top and Brick 75. I mean, RBX 88. I mean, that's history. Vacone 19. These guys are in our rearview mirror. Okay, we're ushering in a new era.
What's the total salary? 49.9.
Yeah. Yep. We are at 49.9. Speaking of updating numbers, I mean, I can't tell if this. I don't know if YouTube refreshes it, but if you guys haven't subscribed, I mean, I thought we were going to get Brian to 1,000. I mean, if anything, Brian shouldn't give you this right now.
I'm sure they really care about our lineup being duped.
Hey, this is how the sausage gets made here.
I guess I could show. Nah, I won't.
It's okay. I'm good at vamping.
Let's see here.
We got Wes was in the chat earlier saying that Rory's going to push 20% this evening. I agree. I think he'll definitely be right there. I had him right now like around 19%, but I think we'll see that tipping point. I agree. Let us.
I think I'd have to like redo this whole thing to put it in. I can't do it right now.
It's okay. It's okay. I'm good with this. We can discuss if we make a swap.
Yeah. Either way, 67 is too high, right? Or do you want to do it later?
Who is the highest owned of these punt plays?
Probably.
Is it Sabatini or Pol? I can't imagine it's Kokrak.
No, Sabatini's low. Kokrak's a DFS darling. Poulter is higher than those two. And then who's the other guy?
Horschel.
Yeah. Our boy Poulter, I have him the highest.
All right. Let's make a tough decision. I mean, I feel like we either go from Webb to Reed or we swap out Poulter for someone else in the 77 range.
Why don't we do both?
Okay.
Webb to Reed and then somebody else.
So then that gives us 7,900 to work with, and then whatever that adds up to ownership wise.
Okay, go down to the 7,900 guys.
Yeah, let's see here.
Our boy Lowry failed us last week, huh?
Oh, is Scheffler out?
He's out, yeah.
Okay, I missed that. Gotta make sure he's not in any of my lineups.
Okay, Lowry's the lowest owned there, from what I'm seeing.
Yeah.
Louis Oosthuizen, if you want to ruin your entire weekend when he withdraws Thursday at 8:05.
What's it? Lowry was the draft cheat mush last week, right?
I didn't see his PGA picks.
I think Lowry was one of his guys that he burned people. The only other guy that what was Oosthuizen's
7%, so or 6%. He's low enough.
Yeah, I like him, but I don't mind Lowry either. Who do you want to go with to wrap this up?
Either one. I don't care.
Let's go Louis.
Okay.
Go Louis. We'll leave 200 on the table. We got a quad of 4 sub-8 guys: Patrick Reed, John Rahm. I think this thing's gonna be pretty unique. I say we fire it off.
All right. Wes Bearden says we should have went with Benny on there. That's true. We could have. That would definitely. We've been low salary, low owned.
All right, guys. I think that is going to wrap it up. Thank you guys for chatting with us in the YouTube and Periscope comments. We've mentioned this before. We have this is up on iTunes and your podcast choice. We'll get that up soon as well, this episode. So if you guys prefer to consume it on the go, you can always do so there. Yeah, and feel free to, if you drop us questions during the week, we can get to them on the show as well. I know Brian's been getting some stuff in a Discord that we're always happy to answer. Brian, do you have any final words of wisdoms?
If it's tough to get 6 out of 6, so don't beat yourself up over it.
Yeah, I'm kind of like a 5 out of 6 guy. You know, we got to have realistic expectations.
Maybe a chance to min cash.
A little min cash, a little 5 of 6. We call that living the dream, Brian. All right, guys. For Brick 75, for RBX 88, for Vacone 19, for getting 6 of 6 golfers through this weekend, I'm Peter Overzet, and this has been